social media. Should be an interesting lawsuit. Anyway, call the meeting to order. It's 4:30. I'll have Lisa for excused absence. I don't, Aaron, Apollo's online. Only one we're missing then is Aaron. Good evening, everyone. Land recognition, Hannah?
Yes, I'm just pulling that up in front of me. Can you hear me okay?
Sorry, Hannah, didn't hear you.
Okay, sorry. Can you guys hear me okay now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, great. So I'll just go ahead. The Sault Ste. Marie Public Library is a gathering place where community comes together to share stories, to explore new ideas, and to gain knowledge of the past. It is through this unique position in our community that we support and promote truth and reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. We acknowledge with respect that we are in the Robertson-Huron Treaty Territory, that the land we are on in which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and is known as Boateng. Boateng is home of the Kanesagabi, Garden River First Nation, Batchewana First Nation, and the historic Sault Ste. Marie Métis Council. The library and we as individuals have a deep desire to bring about change in our community and move toward a diverse and inclusive peoples. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture, and we are committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect.
Thank you, Anna. Just before I move on, I hope everyone saw the articles today this week in regards to the funding for Indigenous materials at the Public School Board. I think it was around 300,000 or a couple 100,000. They can purchase materials that will support the Indigenous community. So that was really good to see. Before I move on, I forgot to pass a motion in regards to the excused absence. I need a mover and a seconder for Aaron. Mike, Steve. Any opposed? Motion is passed. We're recording. Yes.
Let's go to most of the motions.
Is there any declaration of conflict with the business of the day? Oh, sorry. No. Go ahead.
Well, I just we have a guest here today.
I know.
It's our new staff member, Michael Lisby. So he's joining us just to do a quick introduction. He's been working with us for about 5 weeks now.
This is starting week 5, yeah.
So I'll let you introduce yourself.
Okay.
And you give them a background of your work experience and education.
Sure, yeah, so my name is Michael. I got my MLIS 2021, early 2021. So I graduated from Western with my MLIS, but because of COVID, I actually had no library experience because all the internships got canceled. So back in 2021, the public library took a chance on me and hired me as a reference tech part-time. So I was able to get my foot in the door. Excellent. And so I worked at the public library here for a year, and then I went over to Algoma University as an academic librarian for about a year and a half to cover someone who was on mat leave. And then I got in contact with Matthew. We ran into each other at it's called the OLA conference, and we were keeping in touch, and he told me about this job. And so we met up, and I ended up coming back here, which was great because I loved my time here the first time. So I am the manager of technology and collections. I've got a lot to learn. I'm learning more every day, but I'm very excited about this opportunity, and it's a pleasure to meet you all.
Thanks, Mike.
Sorry, I didn't mean to walk in on me. I thought it would be that.
No,
Somebody new, I'm sorry.
So Aaron, this is Mike Lizzie.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Staff, so now he has to do his whole presentation over. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm welcome aboard, and Matthew doesn't scare you off. You're welcome to stay or have
I unfortunately do have 1,000 things I need to get done before I leave today, but thank you for the invite. I appreciate that.
You're keeping him very busy.
Good. That's good to hear. So thanks.
Well, thank you, everyone. Nice to meet you.
I don't know.
It was good to meet you. Thanks for
Sorry,
coming.
but I was coming in quietly. Tried to do that. Thank you.
Going back to our regular agenda, our declaration of conflict of interest. Hearing none, move on to approval of agenda. Any additions? Before I ask for a motion, hearing none.
Wayne, can I
Sure,
ask,
sure.
can I ask about an addition? I want to talk about the streaming of the meeting and how that's handled in the agenda and on the website. I sent you an email about it about 3 hours ago.
Yep.
It's up to you where that goes in the agenda, but or up to Matthew maybe.
It would be a new business, I think.
We would answer-
Okay.
Talk to that.
Yeah, I can talk about it.
So streaming of the meetings. Put under new business 14.1. Anything else?
Oh, I'm sorry. I also wanted to talk about the Ontario Library Service very briefly. That could go under either board development or new business. It's up to Matthew.
I got your email on this. And my role as the chair is to manage the agenda in cooperation with Matthew, but the agenda belongs to the board. He helps create it and manage the time and inform the members, and so we can make good decisions. There was a lot of information in that email about OLS. I don't think we're going to be adding in a half hour. I'm guessing, I have no idea how long, to the agenda. And I think there needs to be in front of the board members so they can speak fairly and intelligently on the topic. So I'm going to rule that be deferred to the June meeting. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good, Wayne. Thank you.
Thank you for understanding. All right, anything else out to the agenda? Hearing none. Motion to approve the agenda as presented, as amended, whatever, as amended. We'll go with that. Aaron?
I'm in.
Thank you. Seconder. Kevin, thank you. Any opposed to the motion? Hearing none, the motion's passed. We have no delegations. Chair's report, I don't have anything in writing, just it's in your package. The piece about the First Nations salary supplement was part of FOPL's and OLA's initiatives and our work at Queen Park to get funding to support First Nations salary supplement because of the ongoing problem with First Nations maintaining their libraries. So this will allow them to pay a salary that will hopefully keep some of those libraries open. We've lost like 50% of them on First Nations in the last couple of years. The second initiative out of FOPL is still Ontario Digital Public Libraries. And we didn't achieve our goal, but we'll be going back to Queen's Park this year, and that'll be our main thrust. And PLOG as well will also be mentioned, but our main goal will be Ontario Digital Public Libraries. And that's the end of my report. You want a motion? Yes. Motion to receive. Steve and Paulo. I'm gonna pick names. Any opposed to the motion? Oh, sorry, I didn't ask. Any questions or comments? In that case, I'll call the motion. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Consent agenda. Does anyone need anything removed or have any brief questions on the contents of the consent agenda? Hearing none, we will go to summary of motions in your package. I did find it, by the way. Come out of the consent agenda. Hearing that none have been removed, we'll do all 10 motions as a block. Is there a mover for that? Mike, Aaron second. Any comment? Against? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion? Steve, I'm sorry, anybody, I'm sorry, anybody, anyone opposed to the motion? Let's go that way, because some of them are on screen, just be easier. Hearing none, seeing none, motion is passed. Thank you. So it's good. Item number 8, Matthew?
Well, you already spoke to the
Yeah.
one. Thanks for the job you did here.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. The second one is about the library's staff cleanup day. And I just wanted to take a moment to recognize our staff. They did a tremendous job cleaning up the property, both inside and out. We do this annually where staff go and they clean up the debris that's in the grounds and parking lots, and they rake and they sweep and they wash, and it's pretty good for camaraderie as well, a team spirit. And so the library is looking pretty nice right now. The staff had a pretty good day doing it. So.
Do you do, I'm just curious, do you do this like an Earth Day thing?
Kind of. Sometimes Earth Day is too soon.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that all the snow is melted so that we can get all the stuff that's been kind of left all over the property. And we're not just talking like the front lawns and stuff, but the back under areas of the in areas that often get neglected over the year. So we take time to go. Like I did some cleaning up the mechanical rooms. Those are areas that generally custodians aren't spending much time in, right?
Yeah.
And we do purge of some things like old children's crafts and things like that too. So it's to make sure that we run a tidy library, that it's a place that the staff can be proud of, that people enjoy coming to in terms of it being a nice work environment, but also nice environment for the public. And then I do reward them with pizza party.
I don't get that at Earth Day at school, come on,
You should.
yes.
And, you know, on top of that, when you do cladding and the asbestos is addressed and you get the new door at the back, the building will sparkle. Right?
I hope so.
Yeah, no, that's good that you're trying to address all these things and make it welcoming to the public. So, number 9. Unless anybody else, sorry, you need to run. Number 9, board development accreditation self-survey is in the package. No,
Yeah, so this is something Jamie and I both worked on. She did the bulk of it. As you're probably aware, over the last few years, she's been keeping up with the accreditation process, and she's been filling out the surveys. And I'm able to fill in the gaps that she may have. And so together we were able to complete this, see how close we are to actually being able to achieve accreditation. And we had the presentation from the council at our board development meeting. And so after that and filling out this, it looks like we are in a very good position to become accredited. But there are a number of mandatory sections that we haven't met yet. So even though we have a good score in a lot of areas where there's non-mandatory things, there are a few mandatory things that we have to still accomplish before that. that when we were building our strategic plan, we knew some of these mandatory items that were going to have to be met. So what we did was we built in some strategic plan action items. And so what I've done here is I've given you a graph showing us where we are in terms of positioning for the accreditation. And then under the requirement gaps, I've listed some of the action items that would lead us towards achieving those items that we are currently missing. And identified about 8, I think. Not mistaken, 10 items that are missing. And most of them, there are action items tied directly to those. So community consultation is one of those, and we've got 4 action items here that kind of relate to that. Performance measurement, performance planning. So there's a few action items there. We will be working on a collection development plan. That's one of our big action items. Analysis of services, there's 3 items there. Formal evaluation process. Technology plan. So some of these we've been kind of waiting on having somebody in this position, the manager of technology collections. So that's kind of where some of the gaps are, and we haven't been able to attend to those, but we did plan for them in our strategic plan. And then there's a couple policies as well. Now I noted that we didn't actually put this into our strategic plan, some of these policies, in which we're probably going to have to assign it to the policy committee to look at those. And then job descriptions, that one too is not related to an action item, or because we will be looking at updating our pay equity. That will be taking care of that. So I've already begun looking at the job descriptions, ones from early 2000s, and I've begun the process of updating them. So just by doing the pay equity update, we'll be achieving that. So that gives you kind of sense of where we are and where we need to go in order to achieve the accreditation. So I have a recommendation here, first of all, to have the policy committee tackle the missing policies. And then the other is that we give a little bit of time for the strategic plan to work itself out before we come back to be looking at accreditation. So let's get some of these action items done in our strategic plan, and then revisit it and see how far away we are after we've done some of those. That's kind of where I am with this.
Any questions for Matthew? Shy bunch. You need a motion to support the recommendation?
Well,
Or just to refer this?
one of the things I was curious about was whether or not, because there was 2 policies here, information services and programming policies. And I was wondering if the board was interested in having separate policies, or if they would be interested in grouping these 2, possibly with a couple other policies that are related to library services.
Can we just refer this to the policy committee to figure it out? Yeah, okay. I don't have any problem with that. Someone else? Good. Send to the policy committee.
Sounds good.
Nobody's jumping up and down. And the so our aim then is we hope to complete this in 2025.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be close. Once we hit 2025, we can do the self-assessment, and if we feel like we're close, then what we do is we reach out to the council again, say we'd like to begin the process.
Great. Jamie, anything to add to this? I know you were involved with Matthew.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Matthew for, all of the additions to the action plan that have fed into the accreditation process, and I appreciate I know it doesn't feel like it, but you know, the fact that we're even doing this potentially next year is brilliant. And I also wanted to underline to Matthew that I really do feel there's an important role for the board in this process. And I'd be more than happy to continue helping you with this. So let me know what it is you need from the board, because I think that is very important.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thanks, Jim. Anyone else?
So I do have a draft policy here, or a draft motion on the policies.
I don't know that we're at that point. I think we're referring it to the policy committee. Figured that says that.
Well, this is adding it to the schedule of policies.
Okay,
So
it may or may not end up as one policy.
yeah, it may,
Or
well, it says so it can be added to the schedule of policies to be created or incorporated. Just
Okay, sorry. I'll read it. We have a motion. Sault Ste. Marie Public Library Board will add services policy and programming policy to its schedule of policies to be created or incorporated into a single library services policy.
policy.
Yeah, exactly.
Policy.
The board resolves to revisit the OPL GMAC accreditation process in 2025. Is there a mover for the motion? Jamie, seconder. Aaron, thank you. Any opposed to the motion? Motion is passed. Brings us to 9.2, board fundraising. One of the issues identified in our strategic plan was for the board to take a role in leading an initiative. Jamie has sourced an idea. Jamie, would you like to speak to that and share with the board?
Yeah, I brought it was actually a question I raised at the board assembly in earlier this month, and one person in that group gave this example from the Innisfil Public Library, and they had something called I think it was called Spark. Honestly, I can't remember. And they raised $22,000, so it was a significant effort on the board's part. And I kind of contacted Wayne and Matthew from just an exploratory topic of whether if there was something that we could consider doing as a board that like identify a funding need and then like identify if there's something that we could do as a board that would raise money. And one thing I noticed with the Innisfil project was they had a, silent, there's like you could schedule an event and then have other things attached to it, like a silent auction and a cash bar and it, there's just different ways of increasing the revenue stream of an event that is already happening. And I would really like more information for other examples of how boards actually accomplish fundraising and whether that's a thing. Or whether, I don't know, it's easier for the library to fundraise because they're the charitable organization.
Jamie, can you refresh me and inform the board? What did Innisfil do for their fundraiser?
I'd have to, there's a link in the minutes to that document, I think. I'd have to go back. And I don't remember, Wayne, sorry.
Okay.
Was it a
That slipped
series?
my mind too.
Was it a series of things? Or
No,
did you
I
say
think it was
mini cash bar or silent auction, or was it one thing?
it was one event.
Oh, okay, that I misunderstood.
But I'm thinking it was a very small board, and I wonder whether that's a factor too, that if you're a smaller community, it might be easier to make the outreach and to make money. But I just remember being surprised when I looked at the newspaper story how much that the amount they raised was 22,000.
So for us to do something like this, we need supportive staff. And we need to make sure that we're not adding more to your plate than you can handle. Because we can't as a board do this alone. So,
You'd have to at very least liaison with staff in terms of like use of buildings.
yeah. And on top of your regular work, who would we work with to get this off the ground? Or explore?
It depends. I mean, if you want a more volunteer run, then the board could work with the Friends of the Library. And trying to work, if you need people, rather than using staff hours. In terms of organization, you probably would manage, then we might delegate down depending on what it is that we need.
Well,
Okay.
I'm wondering if the library had an event and the board wanted to piggyback onto that, a silent auction, whether there are silent auction items that individual board members could contribute.
And that's another possibility, that we support what's already happening.
Yeah.
That your staff is involved in, and like, we talked about this with volunteer appreciation, right? What can we do as a board to become visible and help you promote it and make it work?
So there's a few big events throughout the year. I'm thinking of Boomers and Beyond, Cultural Days, Author Palooza, big events where we have something going on. And that would be a good opportunity if the board wanted to attach and have an additional activity or some sort of fundraising function to that. That would make sense.
So if we did a silent auction, that doesn't require a lottery license, does it?
No.
No. So that would be sort of a low impact effort, maybe, because you're not selling tickets or anything and you don't have a license.
No.
It's not a draw. And then the silent auction could maybe start at the event and go up into the display case in the lobby, and then maybe I'm kind of envisioning like maybe during public library week or something, it could conclude. I don't know. There might be some ideas that your management group would have on that idea of how the timing of it. Would you just do it one night, or would you start it one night and at an event and carry it on over a period of time to allow more opportunities for people to submit bids?
Anybody else want to jump in? Up for direction here. I suggest that Matthew, you talk to staff. And what do you do? What could we participate in? And I suggest, Jamie, that maybe you look a little further into Innisfil, see what they did, and then we bring these back at our next meeting. And we can see what we can do.
Yeah, I see the Innisfil thing is called a gala, but I could follow up and contact somebody there and find out more detail than I'm seeing on their website. And I would also be curious from Matthew's point of how much staff input there was into that effort. Because I don't want to put on a whole new thing and just create more work for the staff. And
that's I'd be very cautious of that.
Yeah, me too.
And also the board, and then the multiple responsibilities they have. So I like the idea, but I want to make sure that we don't go wrong here. So is that fair? Is that a good start then? We bring this back in June. Under regular business, board fundraising discussion. Matthew will do a little bit of homework, Jamie, you'll do a little bit of homework. And anyone else that's listening, you have an idea, bring it forward at that time as well. Or participate in the discussion. Is that okay? Anybody opposed to that idea? We don't belabor this.
If I just might add, if you could send me anything that you do come up with or anything you want to share ahead of the board package so that I can include some of the resources for some of the
Sure, I
information.
can do that.
I'd appreciate that.
It would be nice to have some kind of report, right?
Do we
No.
have to have a thing to fundraise for, or can we just fundraise for the library? Doesn't matter.
I mean, often it's easier to fundraise for a specific cause.
Right.
But at the same time, there's parts of the building that leak. And it's not an attractive thing to raise money for,
Right.
but the building has to be taken care of. Collections have to be bought, programs have to happen, so
So we can just say library and it's open it.
I would leave it open. Not to say that we actually currently have a leak anywhere, but
At the same time, you're right, it is attractive if we had a cause.
Well, I kind of thought it'd be better not to spend the money raised on something in the operating budget. That it's over and above.
You know, like almost like a wish list.
Yeah, I noticed in the survey that we did, and I forget how long ago it was, there was a lot of feedback about the large print collection, for example. I just wonder whether if you identified the purpose for the money that you're raising, whether the donations would be more forthcoming. So, you know, there was a fair amount of feedback about the amount of money donated or spent on the large print collection. And
So
you know, I don't know.
There's a third piece to this then, and what are we gonna do? We're gonna do a fundraiser, what is our purpose? Just general fund for the library? Is there a project, wish list of things that you would like to see at this library? Or both as the north branch and this branch? So if you can think anything along that line, so 3 pieces. Okay, I want to close the door on anything yet.
Well, we also have the object library, so we could look at, you know, musical instruments or, you know, photography, or I don't know, there's lots of objects you could add to the lending library.
Raise money for a new branch.
I mean, that's an idea.
Don't even go there. I'm gonna forget I said.
Silent auction.
Well, a bookmobile, Matthew.
I would love
I
to
think a
see a new
bookmobile
branch.
is about 65,000. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, that's my wish list. Anything else on this topic? Hearing none. We'll move on. There's no motion. I don't believe.
Yeah, you can make a motion if you want.
We have a direction. Okay. Number 10, there are no new policies. Number 11, in your package, strategic plan progress update.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what you guys would like to see in terms of reporting for the strategic plan and the progress that we're making. So this one here, I have a comparative analysis between the last time I reported. So you can see May's report versus Martha's report and see the areas where we've increased in terms of we had more ongoing than we had previously, or we had more completed. So not a lot in community engagement, but we got a jump in inclusivity, diversity, equity, accessibility. So slight bump in marketing. Heritage got a big jump, and service excellence. So depending on what's going on at the library, you're going to see some movement more in some areas than others. But this at least demonstrates to you that in the past 2 months, we have made a bit of progress on a number of strategic plan items. And the action item progress chart there shows you an overall of where we are in terms of stuff, and we're getting more and more yellow and orange as time goes on. And we've made progress on about a quarter of the strategic plan so far, which is good. Is there any questions regarding those? I did provide an older version of the action item list with updates to action items. I'll put a new one out so you can see what the individual action items are that we've made progress on. And that will be available to you on the board drive, but so you can see what is still kind of outstanding. If you had an opportunity ahead of the board meeting, if you had any questions about any specific action items, I would be happy to discuss that.
Comments? Is this the information the board requires? Is this where you want to be? Jamie's nodding her head. That's something. Kevin, does this give you the information that you were asking about at our last meeting?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good progress tracking. I think I was when I was speaking previously, I think I was speaking more about setting targets, but like this is great information as far as keeping the board up to date on what is happening. And I trust that that management is making the moves where they can right now, so I'm happy with this.
Thanks, Kevin. Anyone else?
No, I mean, just because of how big that document is with all the action items, I don't prefer not to include it in the package, but it's always there available for you to look at. So, Google Drive, and I'll put a more up-to-date version because my management team just recently updated some of their items leading up to me doing this report. So I'll make sure that the most updated one is there for you guys to review. And then in following meetings, if you have any questions about specific ones, like where are we with the bridge project? Why haven't we made any movement on this one? And then I can give you an explanation. It's like, well, we haven't done any election stuff because no elections have been called in the time frame, right? Yeah.
Coming soon. Okay. Any further questions?
Could I,
Dan?
yeah, sorry, in an earlier, 2 years ago, when I didn't get as busy as I did, when I was looking at strategic plans and looking at particularly the agenda package for Blue Mountains, the agenda was set up, it looked like a checklist, it looked like a strategic planning checklist, and the whole agenda was set up to mirror the strategic plan, the same categories and the same and then there was almost what looked like a checklist on the right hand side, and it actually that document became sort of an ongoing CEO evaluation tool. And I'm wondering, maybe Matthew, you don't have to answer today, but like, is there a way to structure our agenda that it makes it easier to align what's in the agenda with what's in the strategic plan? Or have you already gone down that rabbit hole and it's not possible? And I'm just throwing it out there as something I saw with another.
I mean, it's possible, but then I think you're just getting into the previous report where I just list off the things that we've done.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jamie, you're right. All of the business or most of the business should align with our strategic plan.
Yeah.
So you're looking for a label beside each of the pieces of business.
But it could also be at the committee level, because a lot of our discussion and recommendations and whatnot come to the committees first. Yeah. And there's no reason why that couldn't be something that's reflected. That's certainly, the first time when I started doing those self audits, it became clear to me how important the policy was. And that's honestly why I have stayed on the policy committee since day one, because I understand that piece. And I'm thinking that what I'm suggesting maybe in an agenda mirroring the strat plan is it could be at the committee level, possibly.
I mean, I can look at it, it might be easier at the committee level. Just looking at this agenda here, if we were looking at the policies, some of them would fall under ideas, some of them might fall under communities, like community engagements, and others will not fall under any of the five. And suddenly, so we're suddenly splitting up all the policies where I have them grouped together. So it would be looking at significant reorganization of the agenda. Not to say it's not possible, but I can look, maybe it would be better if I took a section like the board development section and split that up into the 5 categories. And then I could maybe look at ways that we can incorporate things in there. So that there are probably some options, but if we were to do it based on the strategic plan priorities, it would be a complete overhaul of the current agenda. And we'd also have to consider how we report on those things that are not part of the 5 priorities, that are just daily business.
Yeah, it might be more reasonable to look at the work being done on committees that comes forward to the board.
Yeah.
With that idea. I don't know. It's just a thought.
For the June agenda, Matthew and I could look at how we could make that work. Or parts of it. That's all I've got.
Now, if you look at some of the reports that I do have in here, let's see if I can find. So if we look at 9.1, you can see that I do have the strategic priority and the strategic goal that's related to it. So we are making some recognition in the reports themselves, just not in the structure of the agenda. Just to keep that in mind too.
Cautious than not just making work, that this has a purpose. Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to be critical here, but because I want to know that this is serve a purpose. We're focusing all our work around the amount of time and effort we put into strategic plan. We all recognize that. Like, if it's possible, we can apply those labels where they fit in the agenda. But yeah, I don't see work beyond that. Okay. We'll try. Let's see what we can do for the next June agenda. Leave it. Good. Moving on. New business. Jamie, streaming of meetings. Please speak.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so
Okay.
this came up. I feel like I'm doing all talking, but the reason this came up was when I did the self-audit of 2023 or 2024, what year is it? One thing that was new on that, one new question on that self-audit was whether your meetings are live streamed or not. And it's not a mandatory requirement, but luckily we could answer yes to that question. But when I went to if you follow the link to the, if you're on the library board website and you follow the YouTube link, it takes you to the library board's YouTube channel, and you only see the December meeting there, December 2023. And if you're savvy enough, and I'm not because I didn't know this until Matthew told me, but you have to go over, if you want to see all the meetings, you have to go over to the live tab. So I have a series of questions that, my first question, can we clean up the YouTube channel so that the homepage shows more than the December 2023 meeting? And my thought was that we could move everything out of the live tab except the current meeting, right? Because that's the only thing that's live. And then I'm wondering why the connection to the live stream is not in the header of every agenda, because that was the template that we got from the city. So that's question 2. If you go to the city website and look at their meetings, there's a watch video link with every meeting. And I'm wondering whether we can add a watch video link to our list of meetings so that people know. It isn't clear at first glance that anyone can watch a video of a past meeting. And I'm thinking if we added that watch video link, that would help out. And finally, and this is kind of an accreditation thing. I don't know whether, Matthew, anybody's tracking the number of times those links are made, whether how many people are watching live and how many, can you tell from your YouTube channel how many people are watching an old meeting? And that might be sort of a performance measure for strategic planning, that we know that our meetings are being watched, or they're being watched now. Maybe a year ago they weren't, and somehow show an improvement in those numbers. I don't know.
Yeah,
Wayne, are you laughing?
that's a lot of questions.
I have to be more entertaining if we're gonna get more views.
Oh. Well, you haven't insulted me at this meeting, so you can do
No,
it
I'm
now
gonna
if you want.
It's early.
So Matthew's been asked a number of questions. Do you want to speak to this now, or do you want to?
No, I can speak to some of them.
Okay.
So, the one about the video viewership, we should be able to pull up the viewership, no problem. So we'll look at the analytics for that. And we can put that into our monthly stat sheet. If that's something that we need at the end of the year. We can say this is how many of the board videos, how many views the board videos got, how many videos were produced and put up online. So that shouldn't be an issue. In terms of adding a link to the website, Rebecca, are you able to pull up our website? And then go to the About Us. I should be able to do something fairly easily without a lot of work.
I guess I wonder why all the meetings are listed under live when they're actually not live, right? They've already happened.
I should be able to do something fairly easily
Okay.
without a lot of work.
One thing playing in
I'm
the background.
Yeah.
You've got to play
Playing in the background.
I guess I wonder why all the meetings are listed under live when they're actually not live, right?
Bring up your browser.
Gonna do it again.
Still going back.
Yeah.
To see what you got.
Okay.
Yeah, just close that. There you go.
You were asking for entertainment.
No.
Okay. Yeah, so the reason why it's under live is because they were live stream videos. So they were created live, and that's why they're under the live section. And I'm not sure if there's a way to recategorize them or not. That's something we'll have to look into.
Even if you can't, you can add them to a playlist or otherwise create a category here on your homepage
Yeah.
to show them all.
So we can look at reorganization. That'll be a project I can assign to Michael.
I YouTube.
Yeah. So and then we'll redirect to the playlist. So, can you bring up the About Us? Go to our library board. And scroll down to the meeting. Okay, so there you can see for today's meeting. I'm not sure if the online people can see it or not, but it says May 2024, connect to the meeting, and it has the date and time. Jamie, what you're suggesting is that next to each one of these, I should also post to view those meetings after the meetings have happened. Is that what you're suggesting?
Sorry, I guess I'm looking at this list. I'm on my iPad and I can see the page and if you look at this list of meetings, it isn't clear that you can watch them, right? The same way when you look at the city council's list of minutes, it actually says watch video,
Yeah.
go retroactive.
So you would like me to go in and just add in the links for each of those meetings?
No,
Which
I think I think you could just add a link to the YouTube channel and it would be, if you clean up the homepage, that meeting will be listed there, possibly. Or you could do to each individual meeting. It's up to you.
The link.
Yeah.
Keep it simple, just do the link where what the archive is.
Yeah,
Maybe a
and
mention
there is a
already.
link to the YouTube channel further up, but it isn't explicit that you get to view a past meeting on that channel.
So maybe I just need to update the wording on that statement then?
Yeah, but I think if you did it at the individual meetings, that would be more clear. And then the other question, maybe I didn't ask that, but I might as well ask it now since I'm there. Like how long do you keep this stuff online? Is it like 12 months or 5 months or?
I don't have a time frame on them.
Yeah.
Since we started, I think November of last year.
Oh, that's true. It hasn't been a year. Well, this might be a policy discussion for later.
You just passed your records policy.
Yeah.
There's going to be a retention on it. It's a record.
Oh, God. Thank you, Kevin. Well, yeah, we haven't been doing, I think a year at minimum at least, but anyway, I don't know.
Well, and then there's a question in terms of like archival purposes too. Do we want to keep the board meetings for archival purposes? So, and I also have to look at the municipal freedom of one of the municipal acts in terms of record management.
Yeah.
I think there's 2 acts that talk to this.
Yeah, we could probably mirror whatever the city does, I suppose.
Do you want to follow up at our next board meeting?
Yeah.
And see if you can address this. Or you can just call Jamie. I couldn't help it, sorry.
I heard that, Wayne.
Yeah, I know you did, that was the whole point.
Okay, and I can make some changes to the board section of the website to make it maybe a little bit more clear that people can go on. I'm not sure what the actual interest is, besides David Helwig wanting to catch up on a board meeting because he was at council. But
My mother.
Yeah, but when David was doing this before though, so this is not really a new number, so we need to track. But do you have any data, any indication that the staff are attending their board meetings?
some staff definitely watch the videos afterwards. I can tell you that.
Perfect.
How many did it say? 7.
In the interest of transparency, we publish it. That's about the bottom line.
Well, and it's in addition to our strategic plan, it's an accreditation thing too, although it is not mandatory, so it probably doesn't tie into our excellent rating that we have.
Okay, good enough? Any other comments? Brings us to number 13, our next regular meeting, June 24th. In the minutes from our last meeting, there was a reference to discussing what time that meeting would occur. It was one of the things of concern. Is 4:30 a plan, or you want an alternative time that works better for the board? If so, now's your chance. What day is it? 24th? 24th.
I find 4:30 difficult with work
Yeah.
at times, but with the online option, it is easier. Like, it was more of an issue pre-COVID for me. It's a little bit better now.
So leave it alone. Want to be at 7:30, or when I initially came on the board. I know that Matthew won't like this, but meetings for 7:30 at night. We're into it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
You know, and then I recognize it's sitting around the table and online, but you have other commitments, so I hesitate to go there, and I'd like to, Matthew to still have a life as well.
Well, it is also taken into consideration, the library closes at 9.
Yeah.
But in June, it will be closed at 6 or 8 that day.
Okay. Just put it on the table.
Somewhere else.
All right.
So long as we keep COVID, so long as we keep online an option,
Yeah.
then it's fine.
I don't,
For me.
it's the reality. It's not going away. So. Be the 24th at 4:30. Anybody else, anyone else wishes to speak? Now's your last chance. Hearing nothing, we'll adjourn the meeting at 5:30. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you.
Anna, go walk the dogs.